Here it says episode 001. Am I the first podcast you're doing?
You're the first.
Dude, that is amazing.
So
that is.
If I seem like I'm a rookie, that's why.
Hey, I love it. That's to me that's even better actually. That's.
You're gonna be part of my origin story.
I was gonna say I'll be able to say I when you make it big, when your name is all over Des Moines, I'll be like, hey, I know that guy.
AJ, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you having me. Super excited for it. Let's get this going.
Tell me about your story. How did you get started? Your challenges, successes.
Yeah. So I moved to the U.S. I moved to the U.S. 20 years ago and came here without speaking English. Graduated high school. Started going to college actually. I had this big dream of double majoring in cybersecurity and criminal justice. And my idea was I'm gonna be sitting in an office where there's like 30 computer screens in front of me with 30 people trying to solve the world's biggest cybersecurity issues, right? And I went and shadowed somebody for a week, and when I got done shadowing them, so somebody who did cybersecurity, right?
Yep.
When I got done shadowing them, I went back and I was like, you know what? I called my dad and I was like, I don't think I want to do this. And first generation in the U.S., every parent's dream is for their child to finish school, finish college. And my dad, he wasn't happy about it. But he said, you know what's best for you. So I actually dropped out of college, and moved to Des Moines shortly after that with my parents and my sisters, and started this business with absolutely nothing. There's one person in Des Moines who helped me get off the ground, really, basically gave me advice, pushed me to do the best that I can. And I, to this day, I still think of her as a second mom, so she helped me, determine that this is something I want to do, start a business.
Yeah.
So she pushed us to do that. Starting the business with no funding was the most difficult part, obviously, because everything related to being self-employed is expensive. I mean, all of our equipment, each van that we buy, if you go buy it brand new, it's $100,000, right. And most people don't realize that the investment it takes to get going. So once we got going, my dad is still involved in the business daily, and he'll come in and help out when needed and so on. But he doesn't speak English, right? So I mean, I think that was one of the hardest parts, is the communication between everyone, learning the language and so on. So yeah, when we came to the U.S., we came from a war-torn country, right? I mean, we grew up from Bosnia. Okay. So Bosnia is a small country in Eastern Europe. During the 90s, there was a pretty big war in Bosnia. So I grew up in a time of uncertainty, right? I mean, you didn't know what was going to be available to you tomorrow. You didn't know whether your house was going to get demolished tomorrow or anything like that. My mom actually lost her brother and her dad during the war, and so it was a difficult time. So when we came to America, we came with the idea that we want to better ourselves, and so we all work hard towards something better, and I think this business has really shown me that the American dream is alive. It's alive and well if you're willing to work for it.
Yeah. So how old were you when you moved here?
When I moved here, I was 14.
14.
Yeah. And started 8th grade at Cheney Middle School in Fargo, North Dakota. Yeah. And I will say, kids can be rough, man. Not speaking English, I was made fun of throughout high school for the way I pronounce words. And Fargo's a small town. I mean, Fargo, there wasn't much diversity back then. And so the kids would make fun of me. But you know what? Here I am today, and I've learned the language, learned to assimilate myself to the U.S. and this is home now. I mean, when somebody asks me where's home, it's Des Moines, Iowa, man. I love this place.
When did you move from Fargo to Des Moines?
So I moved from Fargo to Des Moines about 12 years ago.
Okay.
So right after high school, right after doing a couple of years in college, I moved to Des Moines. And the reason we moved to Des Moines was actually for warmer weather, believe it or not. And, it is warmer, but not by much.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Less snow probably here too.
Less snow, less wind, less cold, but I would prefer it to be a little bit more like Texas or something, where it's a little bit warmer, but it's all right. Like I said, I was home.
Yeah. So you've handled all kinds of jobs: carpet cleaning, junk removal, emergency situations, fire and water damage. What's the most intense or unexpected call you've ever gotten?
So if I'm being honest, the most intense and adrenaline-filled call that I ever got was my first water damage job.
Really?
So getting the call was, at that time it was a big deal because we started the company doing carpet cleaning and with a goal to get into water damage, into fire damage and so on. And we weren't ready for it at the time. So when the call came in, I was scrambling to figure out how to get things done.
How do we do this?
Exactly. Like we had no fans, we had no dehumidifiers, didn't even have any moisture meters or anything, right? But hey, we had the van, we could suck up water. So we went in. It was over in Altoona, a very nice home. So 3,000 square foot basement, and entire basement was about an inch of water in the entire basement.
Wow.
And so we get there. It was about 4:30, and we started extracting water. And we're thinking to ourselves, what do we do next? We have no fans. We have nothing to get the job done with. So my mom actually loaded up her minivan and went up to Waterloo, to a company up in Waterloo. We rented some equipment from them, bought some equipment at Menards actually, and got that job taken care of. Brought in another company in town to kind of assist us with it, to just make sure that we were doing the right thing by the homeowner.
Yeah.
And so that was to this day, I still think of that call and that experience of getting that call. Your first, you're building something for so long, and then you get that first call. It's like, yes, it's finally happened.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yep, I would say that's my most intense job. And it sounds small, it sounds minimal, but to me, it was a world.
Yeah, that's awesome. So around Des Moines area, what are the most common jobs that you get called for? Is it more routine stuff like cleaning, or do you see a lot of emergency calls for water and fire?
So our carpet cleaning is basically our bread and butter, right? So it keeps everybody busy on a day-to-day basis. The junk removal side is something we just started last year. Actually had no intention of getting into junk removal. I purchased the dump truck for our own use, but I was asked to get into junk removal. So we do a few junk removals a week here and there, nothing too major. And then the water damage, the fire damage, obviously, that does not happen every single day. So some weeks we'll get 5-10 jobs, some weeks we'll get 1 or 2. But mainly carpet cleaning is what keeps us busy year round, and then the rest of the services are the bigger services that are less frequent, but more intense.
Yeah. So tell me more about the junk removal. What's something that most people don't realize that goes into doing?
Yeah. So junk removal is majority of our projects are when somebody moves out of a home. They'll leave a ton of stuff behind. So like landlords call us, And then, if a family member moves out of a home into a care facility, their sons, daughters usually have us come in and remove some items from the home. The people that, something that most people don't realize about what goes into a junk removal service is, we deal a lot with hoarder situations. So,
Yeah.
for example, let's say there's an elderly person who lives in Des Moines, but all their family is out of state, and nobody's there to check up on them regularly. Well, stuff just kind of piles up in the home, so we get called for hoarder cleanouts quite a bit, and it's the emotional side of things, right? So like when you have somebody who is emotionally attached to everything in the home, you have to approach that with empathy. You can't just go in and just throw everything away. You got to go in and make sure that they're comfortable with you being in their home and getting stuff out of their home to dispose of it, right? And then there's also the hazardous materials. I mean, we always got to look out for any chemicals or anything that we're not supposed to take to the landfill. That's got to be separated. So there's a lot more than just, hey, let's throw it in, take it to the dump, and collect our money.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So when it comes to fire, water damage, why is it important for people to address the issue quickly, and what's the risk if somebody is to wait?
Yep. So the biggest risk obviously is going to be microbial growth. Mold can start taking over pretty quickly. I mean, the industry standard is if you're not at a job site within 72 hours to stabilize. Let's say a home floods and nobody does anything for 72 hours. At that point, we come in and we make the determination that more than likely everything has got to be gutted. Everything that the water touch has got to be removed. Now, there's different categories of water. So there's clean water, possibly contaminated water, and grossly contaminated water. So with a clean water loss that sits for 3-4 days, that becomes grossly contaminated, and then you got to tear everything out. And so that's the biggest risk of not addressing it right away.
72 hours, that's a pretty short window to call in. How do you stay top of mind to those customers that are looking?
So most of our work comes from pre-existing relationships. So whether it's property management companies that refer us, realtors, previous clients, people who recommend us to their friends and family and so on. So that's where most of our work comes from. We don't really do a ton of advertising for water damage. We stay consistently busy without doing so. Now, the 72-hour time frame, I mean, most people call us within, hours of it happening, an hour or two. Our industry, we pride ourselves in responding quickly. So our response time in the Des Moines Metro is typically between 30 minutes to an hour. So like if we get a call today, we'll have somebody there today. And we do travel across the state of Iowa, so our response times are different, everywhere else.
Right.
But in the Des Moines Metro is between 30 minutes to an hour.
So switching gears, get into some business history. AJ, you've managed to grow a successful business across several service areas. What challenges did you face when starting as an immigrant entrepreneur, and how did you overcome that?
So my story really is interesting. I came to the U.S. 20 years ago, and I actually did not speak a word of English.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, other than the bad words, right? I mean, everybody knows those. But did not speak a word of English, and went to high school in Fargo, North Dakota.
Okay.
Moved to Des Moines, Iowa 2 years before I started the business. So I really didn't have many connections. I was young at the time. Didn't really have any financial backing to get started. And my dad and I actually got a call from a friend of ours who we knew from North Dakota, who had started a franchise that dealt with water and fire damage. So he called us and said, would you be willing to come up to Minot? The town flooded, and basically we need some help. So at the time I was selling shoes at a retail store, and decided that let's risk it. Let's see what happens. We went up to Minot, worked there for a month, and on the way down we discussed, I mean, is this something that we could see ourselves doing, right? And by the time we came back to Des Moines, that conversation, I mean, the idea was made. So the issues or the complications that we had starting the business is, again, not really being being proficient in the language, not having the connections, not having the financial backing. So everything that we've done has been step by step. And we started out with one carpet cleaning van, and we would do a carpet cleaning here and there. Then bought our first fans, and everything building wise has been step by step.
Yeah. So was that big project kind of your first, like, okay, this is kind of what we want to do. This is the path we want to go down.
Yeah, I mean, so when we went to Minot, if I remember right, it was over 4,000 homes that flooded.
Wow.
And so being there and seeing the devastation, and being a part of helping, the homeowners get back to a sense of normalcy. So getting all the damaged contents out of the home. I mean, and when I say flooded, I mean these homes had like 4 feet of water on their main level.
Wow.
The river overflowed. So getting the contents out, tearing stuff out, and getting them ready for to put it all back together, and just seeing the impact you can have on somebody's life really meant a lot to us, and I think that was really one of the main reasons we wanted to start it is obviously, I mean, the reason you start a business is to grow and to make profits, but being able to help somebody while doing so is very, very rewarding.
That's awesome. Did you help out with the floods from this last spring in the Iowa area?
Yep, so we actually went to Spencer, Iowa. We were up there for about 2 months. We did some work in South Dakota. We were up there for about 2 weeks. We did probably a couple dozen projects up there.
Wow, yeah. So how's your team grown over the years, and what do you look for when you're hiring for your team?
So over the years, I did not start hiring employees until about 4 years ago. So everything was done by my dad and I. And the main reason for it is we took a different approach to it. We wanted to build a reputable company in Des Moines, someone who's got good reputation, who's got positive reviews on the internet and so on. So I wanted to make sure that I built a good foundation for when employees are brought in. What we look for in employees now is being motivated. So that's the biggest deal. Is I want somebody who's motivated to come into work every day. We make it an environment that's fun. So like we constantly have company outings. I mean, we constantly do stuff to benefit the employees. So like we have a very generous bonus structure and so on. So if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to show up and get things done, it is a very rewarding industry. So the biggest thing is, like I said, is be motivated to better yourself, and I will do everything I possibly can to help you do that.
With the variety of services that you offer, how do you prioritize, what comes first, or switch gears between services, whether it's carpet cleaning and then you get a job for an emergency call? How do you prioritize those jobs? So
our scheduled work will always get done. So like we have carpet cleanings that are scheduled day to day, and those we'll do everything that we possibly can not to cancel on those, because obviously, I mean, homeowners will move their furniture, will get things ready for us, and I don't want to be the one that calls them and says, hey, we've got a job that we're going to take because it's more important than you, right? So that's where I, as the owner, if we get a call that I don't have anyone available to respond to it, I mean, I'm jumping in a van and I'm going out to suck up some water or, do something. So I think one of the biggest benefits with hiring a smaller company like us is that I'm willing to put in the blood, sweat, and tears and come out myself, whether it's in the middle of the day, middle of the night, and get a job started. So we prioritize pre-scheduled work, obviously, because I want to make sure that we make our existing customers happy. But when an emergency comes in, we'll do everything that we can to get it handled.
When a homeowner or business is in the middle of a fire, water damage scenario, what's the first step that they should take to mitigate the damage?
Yeah, so the first step would be to try to prevent the water from spreading, from coming in. So like, for example, if it's a burst pipe somewhere, I mean, do your best to shut the water off as quickly as possible. The next step is going to be, stay safe. I mean, water mixed with electricity can be very dangerous. So we actually had a job over at Drake University a few years back where the university had multiple buildings that flooded, and we were called to extract water in one of the buildings, and didn't realize that all the electrical was still on, right? So as soon as you stepped in, you felt a little shock in the water, right? Well, an extension cord was plugged in very near the entrance, and it was sitting submerged in water, and it didn't trip, so it was still had current in it. So as soon as you stepped in, you could feel some little tingles around it.
Yeah.
And that made me realize how dangerous things can be, right?
Yeah.
So when a homeowner or a business has those, water or fire loss, I mean, just make sure you're doing things safely. So if you're going in to examine the damage, make sure there's no electrical cords that are plugged in that are sitting on the ground. Make sure that if it's a fire, make sure the structure is safe. So like the fire department will come in and they'll either say, hey, you're able to go in and check it out, or they'll condemn it and say, you're not able to go in until it's structurally sound. So listen to those those guys. I mean, they kind of know a thing or two. Right. So it's just safety. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And then call a restoration company, because the damage that we see with our tools, whether it's thermal cameras, moisture meters, and so on, is not something that you can always see with the naked eye. So like this room here could have wet drywall all over, but unless you have the tools to test it with, you wouldn't know. And same thing with a home. I mean, a lot of times water travels under floors, travels all over, and unless you have those tools to look for it, you wouldn't know it's there, and then it can cause the risk of mold and so on.
So during major events like storms or fire, you must get a lot of calls. How do you prioritize jobs and make sure that clients get what they need?
So this year we actually went up to Spencer, Iowa, and northwestern Iowa. So again, the river overflow, they had a lot of heavy rain, and when driving through the town, I mean, it was it's something you never forget. Seeing people's belongings on the road. Just sitting there, everything damaged. I mean, people lost everything, right? So it's being compassionate, during those calls. So when you get the call, you got to show compassion. You gotta let people know that you're not there to just make money. You're there to help them out, right? So the way we prioritize it is really, as much as I hate to say it this way, it's on a first come, first serve basis, because we obviously can't get to everybody.
Right.
But we're also not going to deny somebody service because their job is harder than somebody else's. So up in Spencer, we had a home, Randy's home, we call it, and Randy had a house with an underground tunnel that connected to his man cave. And so the man cave and the basement of the home flooded, and in the basement of the home they had, so we filled 8 dumpsters, 40 cubic yard dumpsters with contents, and then we filled 6 of our dump trucks with contents. So I mean, you can imagine how much stuff there was in the basement, right? A lot of companies went in and said, you know what, I mean, this is too labor intensive, and get it out and then we'll come in. Well, we went in, there was still a couple feet of water, so we set up pumps, and then I had myself and all the guys were there for 3 days, literally carrying stuff out of the basement. So it's it's not. We didn't push him away to say no. This is too complicated. We got it done. It's prioritizing is you just got to be human. I mean, you just got to be willing to help people when the calls come in.
Yeah. People see clean carpets or fixed up homes. What don't they see about what you do?
Oh man. So what people don't see is we're in the emergency services, right? So our calls come in, nighttime. Our calls come in during holidays, during birthdays, during anniversaries, and so on. I've missed countless holiday parties. I've missed countless birthdays. This year I was late to my son's birthday because of a water loss, and so what people don't see is the family time that's missed. What people don't see is the late night phone calls when you're waking up at 3 a.m. going to help somebody out. So it is being in this industry is very demanding when it comes to time and responding. So that's the biggest thing is the time away from activities and family.
Yeah. So what's something that people don't see about carpet cleaning or water loss, fire loss? It's more than just a vacuum and hauling stuff away. What's something people don't see about those projects?
So the carpet cleaning side, a lot of people think that you just go in, spray some chemical down, suck it up, and that's all there is to it, right? There's a lot of chemicals that go into getting carpets cleaned properly. So not every carpet is the same. I mean, you got to know which kind of chemical you're gonna put down. Yeah. You got to know what spotters to use to get some of those stains out. On the water damage side of things, I mean, you got to know to where water may have traveled. Mm-hmm. So the back to the tools that we use to find water. Our thermal cameras and moisture meters show us where the water has traveled to, but then it's also knowing what building materials can be salvaged and what cannot. So it's not just, hey, let's set a fan and it'll dry out. Sometimes, I mean, stuff has to be removed to access stuff behind it to dry it. Because you can't, if there's wet insulation behind drywall, you can't dry that insulation through the drywall. So you got to remove the drywall and then possibly remove the insulation. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it than just going in and then tearing somebody's house up. And then a lot of the water losses and fire losses that we deal with are directly handled by the insurance company, right? So the homeowner. Most homeowners don't know how to navigate the insurance claims process, right? So we're there to help the homeowners file a claim, and then we meet with their adjusters on site or virtually, and basically walk them through, why we did what we did. So we don't really ask for permission for the insurance company to do what we need to do, but we will give them justification as to why we did it, so that the insurance company doesn't deny the homeowner. Like let's say we had to remove flooring. If we didn't have justification as to why we did that, if we didn't have the pictures or any of that, the insurance adjuster could say, listen, in my opinion, the flooring didn't need to be removed. You have no documentation or anything for that. Right. So I think those are the behind the scenes things.
Fire and water restoration, those jobs seem pretty intense. What keeps you motivated and in high spirits when going through those kind of jobs and helping those customers?
Honestly, it's the key word that you said last there is helping the customers. Yeah. So it's we in the water damage side of things, in the fire damage side of things. I mean, we're their first call usually. So we go in, we evaluate it, and we calm them down. So like we'll tell them it is a difficult situation, but let us help you. The other part of it that keeps us motivated with it is knowing that once we're done, the customer is going to be back to what we call the pre-loss condition. So their home is going to be back to where they want it to be, and we're there throughout the whole process. So we're if we remove flooring, we're there to help them pick out new flooring, get it installed, and all that.
Okay.
To beautify their home, so to say, to make sure that it's habitable again, and we usually try to leave it in better shape than when we came in. So we'll go above and beyond to make sure that somebody's happy.
What's the hardest part about your business that people don't see?
I think the hardest part is going to be the time away from family, the missed holidays, missed birthdays, and so on. And then the other part is that we don't collect payment upon completion, right? So most businesses, as soon as they're done in your home, they're waiting for payment, right? Once we're done with the dry out, we'll sketch the home out, we'll input it into a program, come up with a scope of work, an estimate, submit that to the insurance company. The insurance company reviews it, and basically agrees to our price, or maybe has some questions regarding the work that was done. We answer those questions. Then the homeowner gets payment from the insurance company, and then we get paid. So typically it takes anywhere from 15, 30 plus days to get paid on jobs. So that it's a difficult part of running a business is when you don't have that cash flow coming as soon as you're done with the jobs, is acting as a finance company for 30, 60, 90 days.
Yeah. Difficult for you, but a huge benefit for the customer.
Exactly. I mean, the most people, and there was a survey done a few years back that stated that most Americans don't have $1,000 saved for emergencies, right? And so most people, when they call us, when we go to look at the job, they ask us, well, like, when do you get paid? And we tell them that if this is something that's going to go through the insurance company, we get paid once you get paid from the insurance company, right? And so that's a huge benefit, because then they don't have to worry about whether they're going to be able to afford to have our services done or not. And then we do also help homeowners who don't have insurance. I mean, we'll finance projects. We'll do whatever we can to make sure that we're helping someone.
Yeah. There's a lot of companies out there that offer similar services to AJ's.
Yeah.
What makes you guys stand out from your competition?
I think the biggest thing that stands out about us is my involvement in the company. So the day-to-day carpet cleanings, I'm not too involved in those. I mean, I've got a great crew of guys who do an amazing job. They get tons of feedback, positive feedback. So the day-to-day carpet cleanings I'm not too involved in, but the water, fire side of things, I'm usually on every single project. So I will, I'll be there throughout some of the project, whether it's to walk through with the homeowner prior to the start, whether it's to make sure that they're satisfied at the end, halfway through. They're going to meet me, at some point. And then if we do the rebuild, because we don't always do the rebuild when we do water losses or fire losses, but if we do the rebuild, then my involvement is a little bit greater, because I'm the one that introduces my subcontractors to the homeowners. I'm the one that brings in the samples and so on, because I want to make sure that the homeowners understand what's being done, why it's being done, what materials are being used, and so on.
Why do your clients come back to you? Do you have a lot of repeat business?
We really do. So this year we really haven't advertised much, and majority of our business this year has been repeat business. The reason clients come to us, I feel, is obviously, I mean, the quality of the work. So people wouldn't hire a company who doesn't provide quality work. So that's one of my biggest things is I try to follow up with every customer, whether it's a carpet cleaning, water, fire job, to make sure that they're happy. Sometimes the follow-up is within 24 hours. Sometimes it's 6 months later and saying, hey, just checking in to make sure you're still happy with the work that was done 6 months ago. And I think that personal touch is why customers like working with us and come back.
When people hear restoration, I think a common understanding would be fixing things. What's something that you think people misunderstand about the restoration process?
So I think a lot of it is going to be the science of drawing, right? So I mean, drawing a building really is a science. You're dealing with temperatures. So you gotta make sure that you know what temperatures building materials are going to evaporate at. So if the drywall is wet but it's not evaporating, the fan that you're putting on it means absolutely nothing. So it's the science behind drawing.
So you mentioned this a little bit earlier about your payment process, but what else makes your company stand out from larger corporations that do restoration or cleaning services?
I think the personal involvement again is a great thing. Is homeowners can always call me. Like I'll always be the one that answers the phone call. So if there is an issue, I'm going to be the one that's going to be held accountable for it. With bigger corporations, you can always push it back to somebody else. And I'm not saying that any of the companies do that, but it's a possibility for it to be done when there's hundreds of employees. With me, if there is an issue, I'm the one getting the phone call, and I'm the one dealing with it. And I think that's a huge benefit to homeowners, especially when you're dealing with, the carpet cleaning, not as much, but when you're dealing with $100,000, rebuild project. I mean, we just completed a $100,000 rebuild project couple weeks back, and my involvement and actually here's the funny situation for that. My involvement with that was going as far as to Windsor, Wisconsin, to pick up trim and baseboards. So the trim and the baseboards in this specific home are custom made, and there's only a few suppliers in the U.S. who are able to get this, and the closest supplier to us was in Windsor, Wisconsin. Well, they wouldn't ship it unless it was just crazy quantities. So what I did is I got in my truck, got a trailer, went and picked it up and delivered it to Des Moines. Didn't get paid a penny from anyone for doing so. It's cost of doing business. But I personally went as far as Windsor, Wisconsin to pick up trim for somebody's home in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. The lengths you'll go. Let's talk prevention. So what advice would you give to Des Moines residents as to preventing water damage in their home?
Yeah, so we live in the Midwest. I mean, we have basements, right? The number one phone call that we get is flooded basements, and the reason for it is sump pump failures, is burst pipes, and so on. So preventing something that nobody really, I don't even do it, and I'm in the industry. So is checking your sump pump, making sure that the float doesn't get stuck, in the down position, because those floats are typically held by a little metal rod, and if that rusts and sticks the float in the closed position, when water rises, the sump pump's not going to engage, and it's going to flood the basement. Disconnecting your outside hoses from the water spigots. So if you leave the hose connected under pressure, that pressure is going to stay in the spigot, and we deal with cold weather. Right. Well, when it gets cold like it is today, it's going to expand, and then when you run that pressure washer in the summer to wash your deck, all that water where that pipe expanded, all that water is going to come through there and flood your home. So just make sure that you're taking those preventative steps, double checking your sump pumps, double checking that there's no running water anywhere in the home. Because slow leaks are actually worse than fast leaks, because a slow leak can happen over the time, let's say a year, and in that year it can rot framing, it can rot subfloor, it can cause a lot of damage. So just make sure that if you hear a tiny little drip, you go and look for it and get that fixed as soon as possible.
Yeah, definitely something that being overlooked.
For sure.
So after a restoration job, what is something that you check to make sure the home is safe and ready to be moved back into?
Obviously, do a final walkthrough with the homeowner, show them, what was done, why it was done, and so on. But then we go as far as just double checking everything that we did. So let's say we replaced a vanity and faucet, sink, and so on. I mean, we'll go in, we'll let the water run for 10 minutes after the plumbers are done, just to double check their work, because we're all human, we all make mistakes, and we've had scenarios before where we turned water onto a property after the plumbers got done, and they didn't tighten it well enough, so we get a call the next morning, say, hey, there's a drip in my vanity, so we'll go out and fix it. Well, that's one of the things that we learned from, and now we just double, triple check everything prior to leaving a property to make sure that there's no risks of water, fire, and so on. Homeowners who experience burst pipes, we'll call our plumber in to come in and replace the pipe, and then we'll go as far as insulating the pipes that are accessible to try to prevent a future freeze. I mean, you can only do so much to prevent it when it gets to the negative 30, negative 40 degrees, but we'll do everything that we can, put pipe insulation on it, do something to try to help.
Yeah, definitely. So you alluded to that a little bit, but what's the lasting impact that you do for homes and businesses?
The lasting impact, I think, is the homeowners and the business owners' peace of mind that things were done properly. So our documentation process is thorough, and at the end of every project, the homeowner will get a report with hundreds of pictures of their project, so that they have that peace of mind that the work was done properly. Yeah. And we have absolutely nothing to hide. I mean, when we're in your home, we welcome you to come in, follow us around, to make sure that everything is being done right. So that report, I think, is the biggest long-lasting impact is a homeowner can have, is a peace of mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's the future vision you have for AJ's?
My 5-year goal is to purchase a larger building that we're in currently, grow the team a little bit more than we are currently, have office staff and so on, and then additional services. I would love to add air duct cleaning to our services, because most homes where we do water damage or fire damage, most of the time we have air duct cleaning done at those homes, and we currently have someone doing that for us. Well, their schedule is usually 2-3 weeks out, so I would love to bring that in-house and be able to turn projects around quicker for homeowners.
Are there any other new services or innovations that you're excited about to include in your services?
Yeah, I think the industry is evolving daily. I mean, every trade show that they make with this industry in mind, there's new equipment being put out. The concept is still the same. You're drawing a structure, but now with the equipment that's being made nowadays, you're doing that so much more efficiently than it was just 10 years ago. Back in the 80s, I mean, I have no idea how those guys did it, So we are very blessed to have access to all this new technology and new equipment. So that's something I'm always excited about is getting getting new toys to play with, so to say.
Yeah. As the industry evolves, how do you plan to stay competitive?
Through learning. So we are gonna implement a rewards program for our employees to all become master in their fields. So when I say masters, there's a organization called the IICRC, which is the International Institute of Cleaning and Restoration, and the master certificate is basically their highest honor, right? It's kind of like a degree in cleaning and restoration. So my goal is to push my guys to all get to that master standard, to make sure that we're continuously learning about new new techniques, new products that are going to make things easier and better for homeowners.
How do you plan to stay competitive and offer top tier services to your customers?
I think through education. I think just staying on top of the new equipment, the new new standards that are being implemented. So just a couple of years ago, we had a new water damage standard come out. So it is being educated in that and being able to follow that. So when I say standard is our industry is not heavily regulated like some are. So the being a company that goes through the effort of self-regulating through that IRCRC, through education with that IRCRC, I feel is going to be beneficial to offering top tier services to customers.
So what keeps you motivated and passionate about offering these top tier services after all the years of being in business?
So I think that the biggest thing that keeps me motivated and passionate about it is helping others, in a time of need, because nobody really wants us in their home during a water or fire. They need us in their home. So the motivation to go in and show them that we're there to help, and we're there to make the situation better. And then the second part of that is my son, he's actually he spends a lot of time here with me. He's always asking me, he's like, "Hey Daddy, can I go to work with you?" And I've actually taken him on a couple of jobs with me, and just had him walk through and so on. And how they do those little things at school, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Yeah. And the past few years, his has been, I want to be a business owner like my daddy. And like that's that's all the motivation I really need. So that's something that I hold dear to me to keep me motivated. Yeah. And there's a picture up there that he drew on the wall there. And anytime I'm having a bad day and have a hard time going, I look at that and I'm like, man, that's what it's all for.
Best dad ever.
Yep.
Is he your biggest supporter?
Oh, 100%. He, obviously my family, everybody supports me, but he's the one that helps me get up in the morning and get things going.
What advice would you give to somebody that's wanting to start a new business?
I'm gonna say the American dream is not dead, right? So there's a lot of talks and headlines saying, is the American dream dead and so on. It's not. I mean, if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to put in the effort, it's there. So my advice to somebody looking to start a business is, prepare yourself for it. So I mean, it's not something where you're gonna start today and make money tomorrow. It's something where you're gonna start today and you might not make money for the first 3 to 5 years. You might just be able to barely pay the bills, because that's exactly what I did. I mean, the first 3 to 5 years of business, I've had countless sleepless nights where I think to myself, how am I gonna pay next month's bills? Let's say it's the 31st and the 1st is tomorrow, and I've got to write a check for the mortgage, and I just don't have it. And but that all comes with business ownership. I mean, there's ups and downs. So be prepared for that. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but it is very rewarding to accomplish something, to build something. For me, when I walk into here and when I look at all of the fans, all of the equipment, all of the dehumidifiers. It just makes me happy to have accomplished that. And I think anybody who's willing to work for it and put in the effort can succeed. America is built like that. I mean, it was built on small businesses, right? I mean, that's really what built this country. So why not be a part of that?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's always going to take more work and more time than expected.
100%. I mean, 40-hour weeks, that is hilarious. my weeks, I don't remember the last time I put in 40 hours, right? But to me, it's all worth it. And you know, yeah, to me, it's all worth it.
How can listeners reach out if they're interested in carpet cleaning or any future services?
Yeah, so the best way to reach out, the easiest way to reach out is through a phone call. So our phone number is 515-868-9985. We have a Facebook page with a very large following. We have, you know, a website, email addresses, and so on. The you know, text messages, Facebook messages, emails, I mean, all of that gets responded to. But the quickest way to get something set up is usually a phone call.